Well, welcome in on this Wednesday afternoon all across CN1, all across the Cuse, Utica, Rome. We'll remember one of Rome's finest later in the show today. But glad to have you here, whether you be listening on the radio, whether you be in your car out and about. Maybe you're driving a car that is classic, getting ready to head to Syracuse National. Shout out to you. Those cars are certainly out and about, being spotted around town. We'll be essentially all here by tomorrow. Looking forward to checking all that out. And glad to have you in wherever you may be today on QSportsTalk.com. I'm sure the chat will be active today as we have a news. News is in. News has broken. And our long national nightmare of our LeQuint Allen saga has apparently concluded within the last couple of hours or so. LeQuint will be back on the football team prior to the season opener. Lots to unpack from the big news to lead off our show today, and we'll get into that momentarily. Lots to get into throughout the show today. I mentioned the passing away of one of the finest that ever is from Rome in New York, one Carl Eilenberg, one of the former public address announcer of the Carrier Dome, died earlier this week at the age of 93 down at his retirement home area in Florida. Remember Carl a little bit as we get deeper into the show. We will talk some football, one of the Orange opponents. We're going to be halfway through with our finally conceived series, 12 games in 12 weeks, a preview of the Syracuse football season. We've arrived at North Carolina week. We've arrived at October already. My goodness, time flies. Here we sit on July the 12th. We're talking about October. The play-by-play voice of the North Carolina Tar Heels, one Jones Angel, will join us coming up next hour. So looking forward to chatting with Jones as we get later on in the show today. But the news of the day breaking within the last hour officially. Word started to trickle out within the last couple of hours that LeQuint Allen's saga, suspension, ordeal is over, or at least close to over. Here is a statement from the university, from Sarah Scalise, one of the head PR people for not the athletic department, but the university as a whole. Quote, "We have reached a resolution with LeQuint while respecting his privacy through this process. As part of that agreement, LeQuint will resume his studies in the fall semester and return to football in mid-August. Per federal privacy laws, Syracuse University will not comment further on this or any other student conduct cases." End quote. There's a lot to unpack there. A lot to unpack. The main thing to unpack, like the obvious headline, LeQuint Allen back for season. So that is good news, obviously, for LeQuint. That is good news for Dino Babers. That is good news for the Syracuse football program. That's good news for a first-year offensive coordinator in Jason Beck. That's good news for quarterback Garrett Schrader. That's good news for everybody involved in Syracuse football. That's good news for you. That's good news for me. That's good news for all of us that watch and observe Syracuse football. Good news for all of this odd saga that for LeQuint Allen dates all the way back to early December of last year. And my goodness, over the last 3 weeks, we have detailed the dates. We have detailed the timeline. We have detailed what went right. We have detailed what went wrong, which was most of it. We have detailed how obviously this is not something that is good for LeQuint to have been involved with, getting into a fight on campus. And we've detailed the dates of it all and how he did not go into the portal when he would have had opportunities, and the multiple JUCO running backs that have committed to Syracuse, including one yesterday, in the whole time of this. There's a lot going on. But when I look at this statement, and I guess based on the end of this statement, we'll not have further comment on this or anything else. That leaves me to have my own fun time of trying to determine what these words mean, because if nobody else is going to comment, boy howdy, I am. Here's my read on this. LeQuint will resume his studies in the fall semester and return to football in mid-August. Mid-August, as in the middle of August. That led to a little research project, a very little research project. This was not the lengthiest. I love to hit the rabbit hole open, but I didn't have to do an exact deep dive to come up with these dates. Last year, Syracuse football training camp opened on Wednesday, August 3rd. Would you call Wednesday, August 3rd? This year, Wednesday will be August 2nd. So let's assume Syracuse football training camp is starting somewhere in there this year's. Official date's not out yet, but it is always within the general realm of the same time. So let's say camp starting August 2nd, if not August 2nd, somewhere within a day or two of that, one way or another. I wouldn't call August 1st, 2nd, 3rd, 4th. I wouldn't call any of those dates mid-August. What I would call mid-August is the 11th. That's that's more mid. I'd say the 11th through the 20th feels mid-ish, right in the middle. It's a 31-day month. August, Augustus Caesar, the whole thing, going back, calendars, you get it. The second summer session, the way Syracuse has things, that you've got your fall semester. We know how semesters work. You've got your spring semester. You've got your May-mester. That's a little one. You've got summer session 1, which is primarily in June, the end of May through June, and you have summer session 2, which is July. Started, I believe, on there's many tabs open right now. I believe it started on July 5th this year. And we'll be going until, I believe we'd refer to August 11th as the middle of August. So what I am left to deduct, this is me deducting. This is not anybody telling. This is not sources. This is looking at this statement that says LeQuint Allen will return to football in mid-August. Training camp starts at the beginning of August, not in the middle of August. It leads me to believe that as LeQuint's lawsuit was dropped today, so that was the first thing before this statement. LeQuint has dropped his lawsuit against the university, a lawsuit filed for the sole purpose of getting reinstated, not to the football team, but getting reinstated to Syracuse University as a student official. To avoid being suspended, not for the summer, but for the fall semester where, the football season takes place. So what I am left to deduce, lawyers, meetings, documents, comparing notes, Syracuse's lawyers, LeQuint's lawyers, they had to have come to the conclusion his court date was supposed to be a week from today. The only logical thing that makes sense here, the only logical thing is that the two sides legally looked at it and said, yeah, a 2-semester suspension for what LeQuint did does not stand up to what normally happens at Syracuse when a situation like this occurs. Fight, self-defense, whatever. The only logical conclusion I can draw is that the lawyers felt, clearly from both sides, that taking that to court didn't make sense. Now, we've said it all along. While the university did not handle this well in, any conceivable manner. Like any conceivable matter. How did this take 7 months? How did you come to the conclusion that of a fight that involved a whole lot of people on your campus, that only one guy's going to get in trouble and he's going to get kicked out for 2 semesters, and yeah, he's a football player and one of those semesters is football season? How did we arrive at that? I don't know, man. Like, that is a tangled web of a mess that clearly is part of this statement. Will not comment further on this or any other student conduct cases, that we are never officially going to know an answer to that. Like, how was it bungled so bad in the first place? Hopefully, coming out of this is a problem they'll solve for the future, so it's not bungled again, when inevitably this happens again with somebody sometime somewhere. Because never is any time the last time of anything like this. Like, there will be more fights on campus. There will be more fights on campus at some point that involve members of a Syracuse athletic team, and you better be ready to have a better answer faster than you did the last time, so we can stop it with everybody looking stupid all at once. I would say that's a fair goal. If you could avoid everybody looking stupid all at once, that would be a good goal for the future. Now, I think we've probably arrived at, give or take, the right answer. It took a longer and windier road than ever was necessary in this. But from the look of all of this, it would appear that they have agreed that LeQuint should be suspended for 1 semester. Because if he is to return in mid-August and summer session 2 ends on Friday, August 11th, and he returns after that, like nobody's going to say this out loud unless LeQuint decides to himself, it would appear he has been suspended for one semester, that being the summer semester. Seems like a reasonable conclusion. Have a fight. Got into a fight on campus. Yeah, you're defending yourself. Somebody got hurt. The campus rules say fighting on campus, somebody gets hurt, you get in trouble. One semester suspension. That semester's not football season. I'd still say you probably could have gotten by with just like a crap ton of community service or something. But this is within the realms of reasonable. 2 semester suspension, one of them football season, beyond the realm of reasonable. So they've ended up with a reasonable solution, but got there in an odd way. On the football side of things, what does it mean? It means LeQuint, from the look of it, he's going to miss probably, the first week and a half, 2 weeks of camp. Then you got to ramp up. There are rules of how many days you have to be in camp before you can go full pads and the whole thing. So the rest of the team will be ahead of LeQuint while he has to do a couple days in shells and shoulder pads and then get the helmet. Well, you always have the helmet, but then, get the full pads and the whole thing. So we'll see that work out over the course of camp. But my guess is what this means is whenever training camp opens, LeQuint will not be there, but he will be there by the middle of August, and barring something peculiar, when Syracuse opens its season against Colgate on the first Saturday of September, that LeQuint Allen will be the starting running back of Syracuse University. I see no reason at this point, barring injury or something, why LeQuint would not be the starting running back for the season opener. Can't come up with that. Now, this is as much of saving face as the university could pull off. I don't know how much that's saying. I don't know how much that's saying that this is as much saving face. Because, yeah, like, nobody looks good. Nobody comes out of this looking good. LeQuint doesn't coming out of this looking good. Like, got into a fight on campus. Like, don't do that. Like, I understand it happened, but, understand what's on the line. Don't do that. And then how this was handled by the university in both ways. Like, if you're telling me from a university perspective that this was handled how it was supposed to be by your rules and, by the judicial boards and the appeals and the whole thing, if you're telling me that by your rules this was handled correctly, then the only thing I'm left to conclude is that your rules are dumb. Not logical. No common sense. And if it was not handled in the way it's supposed to be, that's another problem. Either way, the initial result was not as it should have been by, like, any common sense that anybody has walking the planet. What do I talk about? With any sports, it's usually involving sports. Like, can we have some common sense? Be it with a replay review, be it with recruiting, be it with NCAA rules, be it with I don't care. Common sense left the building on this so long ago, it's not funny. I'm sure it's not been funny to LeQuint Allen. And what's amazing when you look at LeQuint's feud right now, like if this had all come out in, say, February and the whole case had been whatever adjudicated and he got suspended for the spring semester or whatever the case was, you say, man, LeQuint, that wasn't very smart. You got lucky, don't do it again. Now that it's taken 7 months, basically to the day, I believe the fight was December the 11th. Here we are on July 12th, 8 months. What are we doing? But I'd imagine, like, if you're LeQuint Allen today, like, the weight of the world has been removed from your shoulders. Because, in the legal filings and all of that, LeQuint was basically saying that if he was suspended for the fall semester and didn't get to be here and utilize his scholarship, considering everything going on in his life and his home and football and whatever, it would be tantamount to an expulsion. And I don't want to say it would ruin his career and his life, but it would provide a significant impediment and hurdle to him getting someday where he hopes to be. So I would imagine for LeQuint, like, the weight of the world must have floated off of his shoulders today. He's got to feel about 100 pounds lighter today. Might be too much if you're a running back. You got to have a little bulk behind that, huh? But from my reading, from parsing, reading between the lines and reading between the lines, my general guess here is that officially what happened is LeQuint was suspended for 2 semesters, and now he's suspended for 1 semester after whatever the lawyers on both sides did here. after whatever the lawyers on both sides did here. Syracuse University's lawyers had to look at the case. Whoever they used had to look at precedent of Syracuse University, what they'd done in similar cases, and realized that if they plopped this before a judge a week from today, they weren't going to win. Otherwise, why would you get to this point? Like, if Syracuse went through their stuff and looked at it and said, yeah, we've handled every single case ever the exact same way, then I'd still say it sounds too harsh, but, tough luck, too bad for LeQuint. University had the rules and followed them to a T. I'd say that's not what happened here. Otherwise, he'd be suspended. He'd miss the fall semester. Because you can't set the precedent the other way. So, we're never going to learn what happened here, but someone screwed up along the way. A lot of someone screwed up. Let's say now would probably be a pretty good time to evaluate your rules, evaluate your process, evaluate your whole system of how things like this are handled on campus, so you don't have to deal with the egg splattering on your face again. Did the end result get reached that was probably okay? Sure. Next time, a shorter, straighter, more direct road might be a better path. Would love to have anybody's thoughts on this. Excitement about LeQuint coming back, all that good stuff. Give us a call, 315-437-7644 for ESPN 44. Phone lines will be open throughout the rest of this hour for sure today to talk LeQuint or whatever else is on your mind. Right now,